So we're back for another review here, and it's another resin kit as well, following on from the model I did recently of the SBS models. Something slightly different from a manufacturer some of you may not have heard of or may have wondered about, because unless you find their website, Hanant supply and stock some Amega model stuff, but you literally just get this picture here, so you don't often see what's actually in the kit, and it can be quite hard to see these kits built up because they're a little bit obscure, as you'll obviously tell. I would imagine this might test some of the plain buffs out there, because this is a new one on me, but then again most things are, but I think you'll agree this is a very obscure aircraft. So I've got two here, and I spoke to the chap who runs Amega models, and I got these at a bit of a discounted price to be able to do this, and on speaking to him, it seems as though there can be better prices to be had. I'm going to formulate all this into a blog post, so I'll put the link in the description on this video, and that will have all the details on who to contact, how to order them, and all the rest of it. They're a company based in the Czech Republic. I must admit I was a little bit sceptical of these after looking as much as I could find on the internet, but I've had a quick look through the box, and it's much better quality than I was expecting, so that's a good thing. So we'll get inside the kit now and have a look. So again, the kit we're using here is well, I'm going to try it again. So the Gourdou-Leseurre. Well, it's a French aircraft, I'm guessing, with that name, and it's the GL633. Now, these, it's not a well-known aircraft. It's a bit of a trainer aircraft. It was used as a bomber in the Spanish Civil War. I believe they only had one, which is the one that's modelled here. Unbelievably, there are at least two pictures that I've seen, and maybe three, of this particular aircraft in Spain. So that's very helpful, and also this one up here as well. So we'll get into that when we delve a bit deeper. Now, we've got very nice packaging here. It's all individually packaged quite safely in a very sturdy box. These have come to me today from the Czech Republic, and there's absolutely no damage whatsoever. So we've got a little bit of wire in the bottom here, and that completes the package. So we'll get all this out, get the box out of the way, and have a look at the instructions. So what we've got here is a little bit of a write-up briefly on the aircraft, and what this is pretty much saying is it's a parasol winged aircraft. There's a picture of the Republican one there in Spain, there's another angle of the Republican one, and there's the other option there as well. And we've got our kit here is the French and the one used in Spain. So that's describing, this is the French aircraft here, which is used as a trainer. This was used as a bomber, and it did have machine guns mounted into the parasol wing. It had two Vickers 7.7mm guns, machine guns, and well, it actually says one here, but I believe there's two. There's certainly two barrels up there, and then there was a 250 kilogram bomb that was draped over the side as well. Then we've got a bit of detail here as well, just giving you some of the wingspan, the length, and some of the technical data, which is very useful, and also running over here. And somewhere there's a page on Network 54 forum where there's quite a bit of reference it's pointing to. So then we've got the breakdown of the actual instructions, which is quite simple, expanded layout like this. But you know, it tells you the story, and you kind of get the idea of what you need to do. You've got two options here on the propeller. We've got the parasol wing with the struts, and it's showing you how the undercarriage and the struts are going to fit on, and the fuselage sort of nestles in between. So it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I mean, you're probably gathering that by ordering this kit in the first place. It's going to be a bit of a trial in places, I'm sure, but nothing too bad if you actually work through it and, you know, spend your time actually looking at the instructions, looking over the kit, getting an idea how things are going to work, making sure you know which items are which. You could probably write on the casting blocks what the numbers are, and that will then correspond to this exploded diagram. Then on the far side, we've got a nice colour profiles here showing you what they actually look like. So we've got some nice decaling here for the identification lettering on the French aircraft, which is silver doped with the black lettering, which is supplied as Decals. And you've got two different propellers here. So you've got a wooden propeller and then the fine twisted metal propeller. And when I say twisted, it's the one that's got a flat piece, so it does look like it's one continuous piece of metal that's been bent. And then we've got the Republican one here, which has just the one propeller option, and then it shows you how it's going to be painted up. And then there's a small box here thanking you for actually purchasing an Amega Models kit. And then we've got a parts breakdown there in colour as well. Now, one thing I was sceptical on, and they've actually turned out to be a little bit better than I expected, but more or less in the same sort of vein, is the Decals or Decals. Now, to be expected on a short, well, I nearly said it again, short run kit. It's kind of different to that on a very sort of limited run. There we go, this is what they're called. It's a complete scale casting of a limited series. So they're limited kits in resin. These are printed a lot like the Cora Decals and some of the other sort of smaller companies, the way they print their Decals. So this is all carrier film, so you have to cut everything out. So it's not pre-cut, which is actually, it's not a problem in many cases. But I do find this is a little bit, I don't want to use the word strange, but I do question why. That when they're printed with the logos, I'm imagining after looking at it, I've kind of worked out why. They actually print it in the blocks of colour that you'd paint the aircraft, and you'll know as well as me that once you've got a painted aircraft and you put this green decal on it, that's going to stand out like a green plaque. So you're never going to get that to fade in, and it's going to be very difficult to cut the G out. But with the reference pictures, this is not the correct font anyway, and looking at it, I mean, it's going to be pretty easy to sort out. It's literally a G, a dot, and a 7 and a 1. And none of the letters or numbers actually look like this in the reference picture. Again, in the post below, the link to the blog post below, you'll have all the reference pictures, so you can go in and see this. And I'll have the French aircraft there as well, just for continuity. But although you do get the serial number along the side of the fuselage in the red, which is obviously going to be the red banding for the which we see here for the Republican markings, thankfully on this other piece where they've printed the black decals, you do have the serial numbers down here, so you can cut those out as a block and they're going to be no problem to go straight on top of the red. So you're only going to be looking for the G71. You could use these Republican flags here. I don't think they're going to be much of an issue. You could equally paint it. It's not the complete fin that's painted, it's just a block on there like that, a lot like how the Tupolovs, the SB2s were done, and a few of the other bombers. So I mean, these look a bit different. I'm not sure how these would perform. They're certainly printed differently to any decal I've seen. They look quite solid. However, these look very much like how you get sort of Cora decals and the like, so I'm sure there's not going to be any problem there. And if there is, there's quite a breakdown here of the instructions on how to use them inside the bag there, so it does tell you, I would say, quite comprehensively how to use these, even going into the point of not using synthetic lacquer glosses over the top because it might eat the decal, which is quite right. And we have a clear piece of plastic there as well to form the windshield. Then we're also given quite a good amount of copper wire here, and I can't see that huge amounts actually needed on the kit. There's a small area where it has copper wire, so it's quite good to have this amount given, so that's quite useful. I may come unstuck when I actually look at the kit and see that it's used quite a lot more than what I think, but as far as I can see, it's just a small bit. And then we've got the two sealed bags. So we've got a zip, a resealable bag at the top here, so we'll start with that in this one section, and then they've been heat stamped as well to separate those, which is quite a nice touch actually, so it makes sure that they're sort of packaged in a nice little air pocket and they can't get banged around. It's certainly been thought about. I was worried looking at the pictures that some of the detail might have been a little bit vague. It might have been some warping, might have been some pore casting, air bubbles, all the things that we've talked about before. However, these look, well, they look pretty good to me. The fabric detail on the horizontal stabilizers here and the separate fin and rudder is very nice, very restrained, very much like the actual aircraft. Well, when I say restrained, it's quite heavy, but it was heavy on the aircraft. So, I mean, it's quite strong ribbing there, but I'd say, you know, I'd prefer to see it like that than not for this aircraft. I'm not sure how some of this is going to fare up. Some of these struts, there's a few sort of marks in these struts here that look like weak points. However, they might be designed for that. It might be marks where you're going to join stuff. I don't know enough about the kit to mark them down from that, so you know, we won't worry about that too much. Then we've got the next part here, which has got the wheels. Some of the, I think that's an instrument panel or some cockpit detail there. Then we've got the top of the fuselage, as with a lot of the way the resin kits are done like that. We do have the wheels, and I did get a little bit excited seeing that they've catered for the spoked wheels here on the markings, but you don't get spoke wheels in the kit. They're just the covered wheels, and the two pictures of that aircraft, one's got the spoked wheels exposed and one's got them covered, so you know, you're fine as far as that's concerned. And we can't really worry about getting involved in spoked wheels at 1/72nd scale, I don't think. All of this looks very well done. There is quite, there's a little bit of flash through there, but that's not going to cause any problem. It flakes off very quickly. The casting where you need the detail is pretty good. I can't see any problems. We've got the engine cover here as well, and that's looking pretty good. In fact, it's looking very good. And the only blemishes, I mean, there's an air bubble there, which is to be expected. You're not going to worry too much about that. It's kept very much to a minimum. And in fact, that might not even be an air bubble. That looks like where the rigging goes. So I'm going to forgive them that as well. I think that is a drilled hole. Far too precise for an air bubble. So that's quite good. Then we've got a little bit broken off there from the struts. So now let's look at the main player here, which is the large parasol wing. And we're hoping that this is going to be cast nice and straight, no warping or anything of the sort. And looking at that, I mean, that is impressive, because this is a smaller company than most, and that's cast pretty well, I would say. Slight bit of warping, but nothing that's, you know, the hot water treatment's going to fix this. I mean, I'd be a lot more worried, you know, I'd almost be expecting it to be very bent. So if we, what shall I get? Let's have a ruler. That might show it. I don't know if this is coming through. There. It's just touching at the high points at the edge of the wing there. So we're on the trailing edge of the wing, and that might be showing it there a little bit. There's a little bit of bending here, a little bit of bending up there, bending down here, and a little bit of the same there. But I don't think that's much of an issue personally. There's a little crease here in the casting, so you know, that would be a natural way to bend it. But looking at it, I mean, the important bit's done. They've got a very nice sweep cast into it. It's a very nice curve. Hopefully you can see that. That's the profile of the wing there, which is very nicely done. Can you see the... Let's see if I can get this caught on film. There you go. See the gap? That shows you the sort of bend in the wing. There is a term for this, and I can't remember it, I'm afraid, but whatever that term is, that gives you the right shape to the wing, running all the way down, which is very good. So, yeah, I can't mark them down for that at all. That slight bit of warping is probably from the thinness of the trailing edge, which is very nice. So I'm not going to worry about that. I think if you wanted to sort that out, then dip it in a little bit of hot water and then just sort of put some weight on the wings like that, just to pull that one in as well. And as soon as it cools down, you'd find that it probably stays right where it's meant to be. Then on to the fuselage and the engine. So these are in another heat shrinked separate section. Again, extremely well packaged. It's a very clever way of doing it, because it saves an awful lot of extra packaging, but you know, there's no way it can cause damage in its own bit. Very clever, very clever. So here's the complete fuselage section here, with a very fine ridge to the casting block, which is brilliant to see. It's not going to have any problem. You can almost snap that off, but I wouldn't advise that. And that's going to be very minimal cleanup there, and you'll preserve all this ribbing detail. that's running down the fuselage. In fact, it looks like they've consciously made sure that the casting points are not where the ribbing is. So there's a slight gap between the two ribs, and that's where you're going to be able to sand back. So that's the sort of thing we really want to see manufacturers think of, and it's really good to see. Now you might be able to see the light through there. Let's see if I can put something in there. You see the knife blade on the inside? That shows you how thin those cockpit walls are. Really good to see. That's what you want. Not overly thick. You know, the light shows through. You can see the blade in there. That's very nice to see. Very fine casting around here as well, which is where the engine's going to sit, in there. And then you've got the engine cover to go over the top. I mean, what more can I say? We've got very nice recessed panel lines, circle panels, which are like filler caps and stuff around the engine cowling. All present. Nice raised ribbing detail. Nice texture on the fabric surfaces as well. I mean, it's very good. Very good. No warping, no air bubbles, no problems in the casting. I can't see any issue with that. It's very impressive. Very nice. I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting worse, so very happy to see this. Now the engine, I don't know whether it's excess flash or it's just a little bit vague in the cylinder heads here. I'd like to see that a little bit more defined. I might be able to sort that out by getting in there with a knife, because it could just be flash. You get that occasionally. I can't tell if it's... Yes, so that's the front of the engine. So, yeah, the casting blocks at the back of the engine. That's the worst piece by a long way that I've seen on here. Not massively important on this aircraft, because you're not really going to see much of these casting blocks. They're sort of hidden back in the recesses here. So you do just see the... what's it going to be? You just see the tips. There's enough detail there. I wouldn't be able to tell how poor that is without actually spraying some paint on there and getting some definition, but it does look like that could be worked on a little bit. Then we're into the last block here, and this caters for the rest of the details. So you've got more struts here and some scoops and a few other parts here for the fuselage. Then you've got the two propellers, very thinly cast here, very nice scale thickness there. There's the twisted metal propeller, which is nice, really good. Really like the way they've done that, actually. That's impressive. The bomb there, which is a 250 kilo bomb for draping over the side of the... Oh no, it's actually, there's a cradle to go underneath the aircraft. That's very good as well, with good scale thickness to the fins there of the bomb. And then we've got some small details here. So you've got a radiator to go underneath there, which is got good detail there. Will look very good under a wash. It's very fine cut through there. Instrument panel, and which has raised details for the dials, so you can do a bit of paintwork on that. Then we've got a control stick and a seat there. And you'll need to add belts, so that's no problem. They're just going to be lap belts in this, I expect, so there's not much of an ask. So again, very nicely done. Not massive warping, no major issues there, no huge twists or problems or air bubbles, which is the things we need to look for in this kit. Well, resin kits. So there we go, the GL633 in 1/72 scale from Amega Models, and that is catalogue number 72318. A very interesting model. I can't believe you're going to see many of these on the circuit, so if you're into building something a little bit different, might be worth checking these guys out. Again, if you want any more of the details, there's a link in the description below, so if you click that, you see a blog post that I've put up which gives you all the details, and that's just because I don't actually have the details to hand at the moment, so I've filmed this a little bit before doing the blog post. But hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen there, and if you like what you see, give the video a like, leave a comment down below. I always like to read the comments, and if not already, subscribe to the channel. And before I go, I do have another one. You'll be seeing this more as a standalone review, and I'll put all the details will obviously be in the blog post I mentioned, but I'll just do this one separately. So I'll hopefully see you over on that video.